Hello and welcome to this podcast, Little Girls Aren't Taught This. I am your host, Self-Love Lydia, and this is a self-love podcast unlike no other. Within this podcast, we will go into all of the things that we should have been taught as little girls that would have helped us feel empowered, connected, and just unapologetic as we grew into women. I am the queen of deep transformations. I am on a mission to impact women around the world with self-love, and I am here to teach you how to be unapologetic and just step into your power. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Hello and welcome to this week's episode. I'm actually recording this. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into behind the scenes, because I feel like a lot of people that you follow on Instagram, when they talk about being self-employed and having their own business and building a brand, they just show all the twinkly stuff. And you all know that I just love to keep it real. So I am recording this podcast episode as it stands at 24 minutes past 8 on a Tuesday evening. This podcast, the evening before the podcast comes out, because my day just completely ran away with me today, and this is one of the most important things that I had to do on the list. And I don't want to let you guys down and not give a podcast episode. So there you go. I am here in my dressing gown before I climb into bed, and I just wanted to ensure that I got it out so you guys had this episode. So it's not all twinkly lights and dancing around on reels and all of the things. Sometimes it is putting yourself out there, going above and beyond and working all hours under the sun. But I would not have it any other way. So this week I am going to talk about a question that one of my previous clients asked me on Instagram. So this is inspired by my beautiful client or previous client, Emma, and she's just had a child not long ago. So she sent me a message recently and she said, just getting it up, where do you draw the line in relation to being sucked into diet culture but not liking something about your body? So essentially what she was asking is, when does not getting wrapped up in body image become not caring, then not looking after yourself and being unhealthy? And I just really thought this was an interesting topic to touch on, and it's probably something that I could unpack in multiple episodes, to be honest. But the reason why I just felt really called to talking about that this week is because I know a lot of women ask the same types of questions. And I know if I ever do a podcast or I talk about body image, people ask me my opinion on the body image movement versus, diet culture and how to find the balance. So I just want to briefly unpack that, because I voice noted Emma back and I was like, oh my God, I could literally voice note you like a gazillion messages regarding this. But let's just start at the beginning. Okay, so diet culture, as we know, feeds into women's insecurities. It creates a cycle where women continuously feel insecure, they continuously feel like they are never enough, and they measure their self-worth against an image that is portrayed within the media, against a standard. And let's make it very clear that this standard is often one that is impossible to match up to, and that is then trickled into diet culture. And as we all know, we've all been in the trap of the yo-yo diet and how we feel about our bodies, and constantly feeling like once we hit a certain exterior with our body, then we will feel good. We think that will give us everything. The body positive movement is the thing on social media that you are probably all seeing, with one of a variety of bodies, which is amazing. I'm all for that. And just like a general positive vibe for all different kinds of bodies, positive messages, showing different variations of women's bodies, you know, brands using different women, influencers coming out and showing all different sides of themselves, which is amazing. I'm all for the body positive movement. Here for me though is where things get a little bit, I just can't be arsed with a certain part of the body positive movement. And this is just my opinion when I'm talking. But for me, it also seems like there's some... Here's how I was talking about it to somebody the other day, actually. I was saying, you know, the same way as fitness influencers get slated for posing and angles and making their bodies look a certain way, for me, it feels like influencers within the body positive movement are also doing the same, but they are taking pictures and they are depicting their bodies to look a certain way, to potentially maybe look worse than what their bodies may look. So they are choosing the most unflattering angles of themselves, which I get. We all have our unflattering angles. I have mine, like, and I post certain things of my body where, you know, it looks bloated or I have rolls or whatever it is. However, I feel like certain things within that movement go to the extremes, and actually the way we can pose our body to look amazing, we can purposely pose our body to also look a different way, to fit into a different kind of movement. So that's what I don't appreciate about the body positive movement. And I also don't appreciate the fact that there just seems to be this undercurrent of loving your body and putting weight on and, you know, like accepting all of these things, and like the two goes hand in hand. So like when you begin to love your body and you put weight on, then that is actually what the body positive movement is, and that is what body acceptance is. And I'm not saying this is every single influencer who does this or every single post within the body positive movement, because I do think there's a lot of good that comes out of this movement. These are just things that I pick up on. And what's quite interesting is I don't really follow any body positive account purely for this reason. And I think one of the things for me is I don't want there to be a misconception that you still can't look after yourself and you still can't train and you still can't eat healthy and you still can't really want to nourish your body with all of the food and the training and the exercise and work really hard at that. And that means that you don't accept your body. Like, I don't want women to fall into this notion and this belief that when you accept your body, that automatically means you put weight on, because that's not the case. If anything, now for me, with my body, I think, have I put weight on? Yes, but, you know, I just feel like our bodies change naturally anyway. I feel like weight fluctuates, that's totally normal. I feel like our bodies go through different phases. So now Emma, for example, she's a mum and her stomach is different because obviously she's had the baby and that was the thing that she was struggling with. I feel like as I build muscle or as I stop training, because obviously the pandemic, all of these things, certain parts of my body will go a little bit softer, which means you may not see as many stretch marks. And then when I've gone back to the gym again and I'm training my bum and my legs, there's a lot more visible cellulite now. Obviously, time of the month, our bellies change. You know, winter, we go into hibernation, we eat all the food. Our body is forever changing all of the time. So part of me, for me, this is just me speaking from my experience, accepting my body means that I can accept my weight gain, but it doesn't mean that I have stopped showing up and treating my body with the level of respect. And I'm trying to be really cautious how I'm explaining this, because I also don't want people to just think, well, I put weight on and I still respect my body and I train and I do all the things, because I'm going to get to the main point, which is the intention behind the things that we're doing. So I'm just purely talking about the messages that I'm seeing within the body positive movement and, you know, the biggest message seems to be around weight gain and pictures next to each other and all of these things. And I want women to feel really fucking comfortable if they put weight on. I want women to be able to look in the mirror and be like, I love myself. You know, I accept my body in all phases and all sizes. But what I don't want to happen is for women to feel like it has to be either or. I don't want women to feel like they have to accept their body, but then that means that they can't really show up and put the energy and the time into the training and the nutrition and all of the things. I don't want women to feel like if they do that, they're being pulled into diet culture and diet culture's winning and, you know, the patriarchy's winning and all of these things, because the reality is our bodies are our bodies. And I know for me now with my exercise, one of the biggest shifts in perspective is I train now because it makes me feel fucking incredible. Like, it makes me feel strong and sexy. And, you know, sometimes when I'm moisturizing my body, I adore feeling my curves, and it makes me feel sexy and really sensual when I feel my body and I enjoy how it feels. But I feel that way even if when I couldn't train for 10 months and, you know, my body, I lost a lot of weight and I was a little bit soft around the edges and I had one boob. So I can hold that energy regardless. But there's no denying when I train and I get those endorphins flowing and I put my music on and I lift some weight or I dance or I do yoga, it feels good to be in my body. Like when I push my body to new limits, when I get my heart rate up, when I get a sweat on, when I eat really beautiful foods, when I make soups, when I just eat and feel nourished, because it's a respect. I respect my body, and also I want my body to allow me to be around for the longest time possible. So now it's shifted from like that punishment intention to just gratitude, appreciation and respect. Like, that's the intention behind the training. But what I want to make clear is it doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't have to be diet culture or body positivity. It doesn't have to be weight gain and love or weight loss and restriction and all of these things. Like, you can find a balance. And what I would suggest is, if you find yourself in this conflict or you're a little bit confused about it, one, drop me a DM, open up the conversation, because I'm always happy to have a conversation about these things. And two, journal on it and just feel into why may you feel like it has to be either or. And the main thing I said back to Emma was that it's the intention. So can we also be really, really honest and clear and just normal? We're not going to love every fucking inch of our bodies at every single point. And that is okay. Like, please, that's okay. We are not going to wake up every single day and be like, I adore my body today. You know, for some of you listening, even loving your body seems a stretch too far. So you know what? We just go to body neutrality. Like, let's not look in the mirror and be mean and say all of these nasty things to ourselves. Let's just get to the point where we look in the mirror and it's like, okay, I don't want to say anything nasty about myself today. So you just take a neutral stance, because you're always working up the ladder. And as long as you're working up the ladder and you're stepping away from being horrible to yourself and being mean to yourself, well, then that's a win-win for me. So one of the other things I just wanted to say was that you are not going to feel amazing at every point, and that's okay. And I think for me as well, the body positive movement can be a little bit of that, of like loving everything all of the time. And like Emma said in the message, she does not like her stomach at the moment. Like, that's a big shift for her in with her body, like after having a baby. And I couldn't imagine what kind of shift that is for a woman to process. But I can guess that it's not easy when your body changes after pregnancy. So I messaged her back and I was like, it's okay if you don't like that. Like, don't force it. Don't try and, like, don't look in the mirror and think that you should feel a certain way just because there's a movement out there that's telling you to, like, love every inch of yourself. You know, there's certain days where I wake up and I don't love everything about my body. I love myself, but when I look in the mirror, I don't love everything about my body. So you know what? I just do the things that I need to do on those days. I reduce the time that I look in the mirror. I set really, really strong boundaries with myself. Like, I will not tolerate the mean voices in my head. I will not stand in the mirror and ridicule my body. Like, as soon as I catch myself doing that, I'm just like, we are not doing that today. You know, I will wear clothes that make me feel good. And if that's black leggings and a baggy t-shirt and one of my boyfriend's hoodies, I'm going to do that if that makes me feel good, if that makes me feel comfortable. It's okay to do these things. We are human. Our body changes. Our body changes every other week with our periods anyway. So just please also understand that, because the more you force, if you're trying to force an acceptance or you're trying to force something like a love or an appreciation or even acceptance, you're just defeating the object, and actually there's just undercurrents that you're just still not being nice to yourself when you're trying to force something that just doesn't feel natural. So what I said to Emma is, it's the intention behind the things that we're doing, and that's what I want you guys to understand. It is the intention. So you can still love your body and you can still train hard, track your calories, eat really nutritious foods, you know, but then also on the weekend have a bottle of wine and go out with your partner or your friends and, you know, eat really nice food. You can still do all of the things. It's the intention behind what you're doing. So for me now, I still train 5-6 days a week. I still eat considerable, like most of the time I eat really clean foods because I just enjoy it. And like I said before, I respect my body. But then I had a cookie before a leg session today because I just wanted a cookie before a leg session. And I don't track my calories because I don't feel like I want to. Like, I know that that doesn't work for me. It makes me fall back into like a cycle, and a cycle that can potentially make me get really caught up on food and macros and all of these things. So I just don't do that anymore. I found a balance, and I know that if any behavior that I do, the intention behind it can always go one or two ways. It can be an intention that serves us and feels good, or it can be an intention that is from an energy of punishment or striving or hatred or a desire to change everything about ourselves. So just check in with yourself. What is the intention when you're showing up at the gym? What is your intention? When you're looking at, or you have a goal for your body, let's say you want to make your bum bigger or you want to lose a few pounds, what is the intention? Are you doing that because you think when you do that, you will find this internal happiness and you will begin to like fully accept your body and accept yourself? Or are you doing it because you know that when you lose a few pounds, you feel better in your clothes, or that if your bum was to get bigger, you'd feel like that bitch in the dress and the jeans, and you just want to grow your bum because you want to challenge yourself to do it? So you see how the intentions are very different compared to, I want to grow my bum because that's gonna make guys fancy me more, and you know that's what all the girls on Instagram look like, so that's what I need to do, but I'm not really particularly bothered about it. So the intention, even just me explaining that, you see how that's very different. And that's exactly the advice that I give to Emma, and I would give to anybody else listening to this. The intention behind what you're doing, tracking your calories, can have good intentions. The same way you can have bad intentions, overtraining, going to the gym, can have the good intentions and the bad intentions. It's down to you to understand what space you're coming from when you're doing these things. And I think that's just what I really felt called to talk about, because I think it's such a conflicting space for a lot of people. And I know for me, I've found myself in this conflicting space of, should I do this? Should I not do this? Am I going against everything that I talk about? Am I going against everything that I've worked so hard to unravel? But you know what? I've never been happier in my body. I've never been more content in my body, and even content when I am bloated, or I'm carrying a little bit more water weight, or I had one boob for God's sake and I couldn't train for 10 months. I'm just content because I'm content in who I am. And I love going to the gym. I love that. I love exercising. And one of the things I've found, because I just come from a space of love and respect for my body now, everything just seems to work better. And I put a post up about this a few days ago, and it's when you're in that space of diet culture, or you're in that space of constantly being focused on your body and food and all of the things that you're doing, and you're putting the pressure to train, and you're not letting yourself eat what you want to eat, there's so much tension stored within the body. There's so much stress stored within the body that often it would just work easier if you just cut the bullshit and relaxed and treated your body with respect and done whatever the fuck you wanted to do. And then your body would be like, oh, this is just so much nicer, because you energetically, you're showing up to the things with this different perspective, and your body is just thankful for that. You're not so caught up in the bullshit. And that's the diet culture bullshit, obviously, but you're not just caught up in it. That's a game changer, honestly. Sometimes I look at my body in the mirror and I'm I can't believe how good I look and how effortless this feels. But it feels effortless because I'm not thinking about it. I'm not consumed with body and looking in the mirror and I'm bloated and this and that and just all of the things. So yeah, that was my podcast episode for today about body image, and I just basically wanted you to know that it's okay. It's okay. It's absolutely fine. You don't have to choose. Nobody's making you choose. I'm definitely not making you choose or making women choose. And the goal really with the body acceptance is just the internal peace. That is the goal. That's the goal with everything. That's the goal with self-love. That's the goal with body positivity, mindset, self-development. It all comes back to just feeling a level of peace within. And peace even when it's utter chaos, So even being able to just come back to yourself and just support yourself and show yourself love and compassion when the world is burning down around you. That's the goal with everything. So that's definitely a goal with your body. So I hope you took something away from this little impromptu episode inspired by my beautiful client turned mummy, Emma. It's so cute as well. I remember when she told me she was pregnant, and then when she had the baby, she had a little girl and she called her Luna. And I really want to call my baby Luna because she's going to be a moon baby. And it was just so cute. Oh, it's just been such a gorgeous journey. So I'm thankful she asked me that question. You will know when you are crossing the line, you will feel that the way you're showing up, your energy, your mindset. So the more self-aware you are, the more you will get an understanding of when you are crossing the line, when you are being sucked into diet culture, and when you are going past the point of showing your body that respect that it deserves, and actually still looking after your internal world and nourishing your body, you will feel that shift happen of when it feels like it's getting too much of either. So it's just about finding the sweet spot, it's about finding the balance. So please remember that. And like I always say, if you did enjoy this episode, please leave me a 5-star review, or any review. I always say 5-star. Please leave me a review, because the more reviews I get, the more women see this podcast, and you know, that is the ripple effect I'm just out here trying to create. So I hope you enjoyed it. Screenshot this, tag me on Instagram, let me know what you took away from it, because this is the conversation that we need to open. So yes, so I hope you all enjoyed it, and I shall speak to you all next week in the next episode. I am going to make a warm mug of cacao, get myself in bed, do some journaling, maybe read my crime book. I'm literally obsessed with my nighttime routine. It's so plush. So yes, I shall speak to you all soon. Loving you, I see you, I love you, thank you for the support. Mwah.